With the sudden and concise announcement of the MegaMan StarForce Legacy Collection, fans have been raising many questions about the upcoming package. But one that has drawn my attention is whether or not this compilation is gonna bring back Japanese and other region-locked content. While we don't know the answer yet, it would be interesting to see those lost bits coming back, because believe it or not, StarForce is the MegaMan sub-series that has changed the most between its releases. So, to solve those questions, I'll quickly talk you through all of the changes that were made between versions of all three games, so we all can have a clear picture of what we missed back in the day and what we should be looking for when the collection comes out. This is BurnCrowSP, and I hope you're comfy out there because I'm diving in right now. Right out of the gate, MegaMan StarForce lost quite a few features when making the jump from Japan to the US. Let's begin with the most significant one, which is the removal of all mechanics that depended on the wave scanner. This was a toy replica of a transfer, released by Takara Tomy only in Japan, that allowed you to scan real-life battle cards and send them to the game. Activating these resulted in various effects, like increasing the power of the corresponding cards or swapping them for more powerful versions. The wave scanner also had some built-in minigames. Playing these increased your Pocket MegaMan's level, which could then be transferred to the game to receive various bonuses. These ranged from stats getting increased to equipping special abilities to Geo, like being able to activate the StarForce form from your version at the start of every battle. Since this toy was never sold outside of Japan, all of its in-game functions were completely removed from overseas versions. Moving past that, StarForce 1 continued the tradition set by Battle Network of starring characters from Hideo Kojima's Boktai franchise. In this case, some content from Lunar Nights, the fourth entry of the series, made its way to the game. Players could activate a short side quest by connecting to a copy of the opposite game. In MegaMan StarForce, you'd find special Red Wave mystery data that contain equipable items related to the characters from Boktai. These were meant to be transferred to a copy of Lunar Nights to become useful, in exchange for battle cards and items that could actually be used by Geo. And to get these, you'd have to play a special scenario on your copy of Lunar Nights. The entirety of this crossover was removed from US and European copies of StarForce 1, but its contents are still present on the game's code. It's just not accessible through conventional ways. Last but not least, there were two small changes between the US and European releases. The first was the removal of voice clips on the transfer menu, and the second, a fix that allowed players to obtain the Liber Scales SP card through cipher mail on the English version. While the Boktai content seems unlikely to make it back, the wave scanner stuff could be implemented in a similar way to how the Zero CX Legacy Collection handled e-reader cards. But for that, we'll have to wait and see. Moving on to StarForce 2, this is the entry with the least changes. First of all, Takara Tomy released a new toy of this game's transfer, the Star Carrier. Its interactivity with the game is the same as the StarForce 1 version, scanning cards during battles and adding special power-ups to MegaMan. And just like its predecessor, its in-game functionalities were removed from every other release of the game. But Geo's in-game Star Carrier also saw changes overseas. The Japanese version had a second screen on the profile menu. These gave players the chance to display some extra information when exchanging contacts with brothers. The function tied in with the game's overworld, with certain elements giving you new keywords to use on your profile. However, this screen is no longer accessible on localized copies of StarForce 2. Oddly enough, the manual from US copies still mentions this feature, so it could be easy to assume it was removed pretty late into the localization process. But then, when StarForce 2 hopped over the ocean to arrive at Europe, even more stuff was cut. EU versions locked away the touch command feature, along with all of its mechanics. That means that blank cards and any of the wave command functionalities are gone. Thus, the X-Bosses, MegaMan power-up cards, and a long list of other rewards became no longer accessible. These were most likely gone because the small cards with holes that were meant to be used to input the codes were never sold in Europe. Like I said, it's up in the air if both the wave scanner and star carrier functionalities are going to be restored, but if you ask me, it's almost certain that the touch command will be present on the Legacy Collection, since it was there until the game hit Europe. And in case of the profile stuff, we might get a chance to see it localized for the first time, just like what happened with BN6 Lost postgame. But now, we enter StarForce 3's territory, and this game lost quite a ton of features on its way to America. Enter the Noise Kaizo gear, or Noise Modification gear, a power-up system that was almost completely removed from the US version. However, just like what happened with StarForce 1's crossover stuff, the Noise gear is present on the US version, it's just not accessible without using cheat codes or hacking the game. NKG is functionally similar to touch command. You input codes on the bottom screen, which were meant to be discovered through merchandise. Only now their application is divided into 4 different mechanics: white cards, purpose cards, noise poker, and the secret satellite server. From these, all except white cards are not present on the US version. So let me give you a quick rundown on what's missing. Purpose cards become available after the end credits, but they activate different power-ups for MegaMan's finalized form. You can obtain a charge shot, buff the attack star stat for all cards, and even make the finalized folder even more overpowered. These buffs were also shared between team members, and they stacked, meaning you could potentially become a death machine if your brothers also had their purpose cards activated. Next is Noise Poker. By entering codes, you can give MegaMan up to 5 extra abilities in the form of poker cards. These allow you to customize Geo in some ways that your basic Link power abilities cannot. Stuff like changing the base charge shot, improve galaxy advances, or even manipulate the support card system. You need to be careful though, because these noise cards follow the same rules as poker, and if you don't match them up properly, MegaMan will receive penalties in battle. Join them in the right ways though, and you'll be boosted even further. And last but definitely not least, there's the secret satellite server. By occupying brother slots, it is possible to gain access to different special folders during battle. These folders can also be leveled up, to the point where if you get far enough, you'll have hilariously powerful cards on your deck. The server also allows you to freely choose your noise form through the transformation archive. Doing so will immediately equip Geo with a preset folder designed around the chosen noise form, which can also be leveled up throughout the game's main story. As you can probably imagine, the usage of all of these mechanics open up a world of possibilities when customizing MegaMan. Their removal on the US version is most likely, again, because most of StarForce 3's wave command cards were not sold outside of Japan. The presence of these features in the Legacy Collection largely depends on which version of StarForce 3 is used as the basis for the compilation. Given the Battle Network Legacy Collection opted to go for Japanese releases, it's possible that StarForce will do the same. This also brings up an interesting difference between versions. Rogue ZZ is a secret post-game boss in StarForce 3 that was originally tied to the purpose card mechanic. Once you had one equipped, and after obtaining all stars on the title screen, the fight would become available. Since purpose cards are not on the US version, the unlock method was changed into a secret code you have to input by touching the stars on the title screen. I will be looking forward to seeing which method works on the Legacy Collection, but okay, that's it for differences in content between the Japanese and US releases. Now, between the US and European versions, we once again saw the removal of some features. Starting with the fact that they cut the entire game. Yeah, jokes aside, StarForce 3 was never brought to Europe back in the day, which makes the StarForce Legacy Collection the first official release of the third entry to make it to the old continent. As a fellow European, and since StarForce 3 is one of my favorite games of all time, you can imagine how happy I am. But that's it for the content that was lost in translation. Let's quickly wrap this up, shall we? Since the information on StarForce Legacy Collection has been minimal so far, nothing has been said about which versions of these games will be present on the package. Like I mentioned a moment ago, going by past experiences, we could assume that they will be using the Japanese ROMs as the basis, with the bug fixes and improvements of the localized versions. This was the modus operandi for Battle Network Legacy Collection, but since StarForce Legacy Collection has been confirmed to have a different producer, and every collection up to this point has been handled by a different studio, we'll have to wait and see what they're going for this time. This answer should be available pretty soon, however, since SFLC is gonna get a spot on the Tokyo Game Show 2025, which should be hours away from happening by the time you're watching this. But no matter what happens, I hope you came out of this video with a clear idea of what to look for if we end up getting the Japanese versions. I think it's important that we get these because not only would we end up getting a better package than the old DS versions, but looking for most of the merchandise that's tied to these is a pain nowadays. But that's all I can say for now. If you want more in-depth information on how to make use of these systems, consider checking the description. I'll be citing my sources for all of this info, and some links to the cheat codes that can re-enable many of the functions I've talked about. I'll be paying attention to future SFLC announcements myself, and I hope you all do the same. My name is BurnCrowSP, and thank you for watching.